50 eerie final photos of famous people taken shortly before their passing. Michael Jackson was photographed rehearsing on stage at the Staples Center in Los Angeles on June 24, 2009. He was preparing for his long-awaited This Is It tour, showing signs of both excitement and exhaustion. The next day, he died of cardiac arrest caused by acute propofol intoxication. This photo taken at a Pyongyang supermarket on December 14, 2011. Kim Jong-il was in ill health and suffered a stroke. He died on December 17, 2011 in North Korea. Williams is seen here with his monkey Crystal, just days before he took his own life. Neighbors say he looked frail and thin in his final weeks. This late photo of Charlie Chaplin was taken at his home in Switzerland, where he spent his final years in relative privacy. Though visibly weak, he still carried the dignified presence of a film legend. Chaplin died peacefully in his sleep on Christmas Day, 1977, at the age of 88. Amy Winehouse was last photographed near her London home on July 12, 2011, looking disoriented and worn. She had recently cancelled a tour due to health concerns. On July 23, she was found dead from alcohol poisoning at just 27 years old. Taken at the Academy Awards on March 29, 1989. Ball suffered an aortic rupture on April 26, 1989. She died at her home in Los Angeles. In one of his final photos, Steve Jobs is seen walking slowly outside his home in Palo Alto, wearing a black sweater and jeans, his face thin and body frail. He had stepped down as Apple's CEO just 2 months earlier. Jobs passed away on October 5, 2011 at age 56, after a years-long battle with a rare pancreatic cancer. Still taken from the last video interview that he ever conducted. Zappa was diagnosed with prostate cancer and passed away on December 4, 1993. Biggie was photographed wearing a beige suit at the Soul Train Music Awards afterparty on March 8, 1997. Hours later, while sitting in an SUV, he was shot multiple times by an unknown assailant at a red light in Los Angeles. He died shortly after at the hospital, and his murder, like Tupac's, remains unsolved. In one of his final portraits, Mark Twain is seen sitting quietly at home, looking reflective and aged, his trademark white suit slightly disheveled. He had been in declining health following the deaths of several close family members. Twain died of a heart attack on April 21, 1910, just as he had predicted would happen with the return of Halley's Comet. Ayrton Senna was photographed in his race car on May 1, 1994, during the San Marino Grand Prix in Imola. On the 7th lap, his car veered off the track and hit a concrete wall at high speed. He was declared dead hours later due to fatal head trauma. Robin Williams was seen in a local art gallery in the San Francisco Bay Area, chatting with staff just days before his death. He looked thin but upbeat. On August 11, 2014, he died by suicide after suffering from a severe form of dementia. The last photo of Elvis Presley was taken at the Graceland Gates in the early hours of August 16, 1977, as he returned home from a late-night dentist appointment. He was still wearing his stage-style tracksuit, looking bloated but alert. Later that day, he collapsed in his bathroom and was pronounced dead from a heart attack at just 42 years old. In one of his last appearances, Alan Rickman attended a theater event in London, quietly greeting fans. His slim frame and pale appearance drew concern, though few knew he had been diagnosed with terminal cancer. Rickman died on January 14, 2016, from pancreatic cancer at age 69. Audrey Hepburn's final photo was taken at her home in Switzerland, where she had returned after undergoing treatment. She appeared peaceful, holding flowers and smiling gently at the camera. On January 20, 1993, she died from a rare form of abdominal cancer. One of the last photos of Nikola Tesla shows him seated alone in a chair at the New Yorker hotel, where he lived in near obscurity. Once celebrated as a visionary, he had become reclusive and impoverished. Tesla died in his room on January 7, 1943, from coronary thrombosis. The final known photograph of Jim Morrison was taken on June 28, 1971 in Paris, where he had moved to escape the pressures of fame. In the image, he walks alongside his girlfriend, Pamela Corson, looking relaxed but distant. Just 5 days later, on July 3rd, he was found dead in his apartment's bathtub from heart failure at age 27. No autopsy was performed. Tupac was photographed in the passenger seat of a BMW in Las Vegas on the night of September 7, 1996, dressed in a black vest and gold jewelry. He was leaving a Mike Tyson boxing match when a white Cadillac pulled up beside them and opened fire. He died 6 days later at the hospital from multiple gunshot wounds, and his murder remains officially unsolved. This photo shows Robert F. Kennedy lying on the floor of the Ambassador Hotel kitchen after being shot on June 5, 1968. He had just given a victory speech following his win in the California Democratic primary. Kennedy died the next day from his injuries, with 24-year-old Sirhan Sirhan arrested at the scene. James Dean stopped for gas on the afternoon of September 30, 1955, posing with his Porsche Spyder in what would become an iconic final photo. Hours later, while driving to a race in Salinas, he collided with another vehicle at an intersection. Dean died instantly from a broken neck. Muhammad Ali was captured on May 22, 2016, during a FaceTime call with his daughter Hana, looking quiet and visibly frail. A few days later, he was hospitalized for respiratory issues. He died on June 3, 2016, from septic shock, surrounded by his family. Whitney Houston was seen leaving a pre-Grammy party at the Beverly Hilton Hotel on February 9, 2012, her hair damp and eyes heavy. On February 11th, she was found submerged in her hotel bathtub. The cause of death was accidental drowning with heart disease and cocaine use listed as contributing factors. This image of Princess Diana was taken inside the back of a black Mercedes-Benz just minutes before the fatal crash. She was leaving the Ritz Hotel in Paris with her companion Dodi Fayed, followed by paparazzi on motorcycles. The car crashed in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel on August 31, 1997, killing Diana, Fayed, and their driver. One of the last photos of Freddie Mercury was taken in the backyard of his home in Kensington, London, in 1991. He appeared gaunt but smiled for the camera, standing beside his beloved cats and surrounded by flowers. Mercury died on November 24, 1991, from bronchial pneumonia related to AIDS, just a day after publicly confirming his diagnosis. Amelia Earhart's last known photo shows her standing beside her twin-engine Electra plane in Lae, Papua New Guinea. She was preparing for the final leg of her historic round-the-world flight. On July 2, 1937, she and navigator Fred Noonan vanished over the Pacific Ocean, and their fate remains one of aviation's greatest mysteries. Paul Walker was photographed stepping into a red Porsche Carrera GT outside a charity event in Valencia, California, on November 30, 2013. The car, driven by his friend Roger Rodas, crashed into a tree and caught fire minutes later. Both men were killed in the accident. Chester Bennington appeared smiling in a photo shared by his wife on July 19, 2017, just one day before his death. The image shows him with family, giving no indication of distress. On July 20th, he died by suicide at his home in California. Prince was last seen in surveillance footage entering his physician's office on April 20th, 2016, dressed in black and moving slowly. He was reportedly seeking help for ongoing pain issues. The next day, he was found unresponsive in an elevator at his home, having died from an accidental overdose of fentanyl. Marilyn Monroe's final photograph was taken at Cal Neva Lodge in Lake Tahoe, just days before her death. She posed alongside jazz pianist Buddy Greco, looking cheerful and composed. On August 5, 1962, she was found dead in her Los Angeles home from a barbiturate overdose, a death ruled as probable suicide. One of the last photos of Heath Ledger shows him on the set of The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, visibly exhausted but focused. Crew members later noted how overworked and sleep-deprived he had become. Ledger died on January 22, 2008, at age 28, from an accidental overdose of prescription medications. A grainy fan photo captures Kurt Cobain outside his Seattle home, wearing a heavy coat and looking withdrawn. It was taken just days before his disappearance. On April 8, 1994, his body was found in the garage with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. With marine biologist Chris Jones on his boat, Croc 1. He died 2 days later, on September 4, 2006, after a stingray's poisonous spine pierced his heart. Taken on January 8, the date of his 69th birthday, and the release of his final album, by longtime photographer Jimmy King. Bowie died January 10, 2016, after an 18-month battle with cancer. Mahatma Gandhi making his way through a crowd when confronted by his assassin, Nathuram Godse, who shot him 3 times in the chest on January 30, 1948. Taken on September 17, 1970, by Monica Danneman in the garden behind her apartment. Hendrix died on September 18, 1970, from a barbiturate-related asphyxia in London. Robert Kennedy was shot at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles by Sirhan Sirhan on June 5, 1968. The photo was taken moment after the shooting, and Kennedy died early the next morning. Taken in 1942. Frank died in early March 1945 at the hands of Nazis in the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. This photo was taken in Munich, Germany, a few months prior to his death. Marley died of cancer, May 11, 1981, in Miami, Florida. McCandless ventured into the Alaskan wilderness in solitude. The photo was found in his undeveloped camera. He died while on his adventures in August 1992. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, Texas, on November 22, 1963. This photo was taken from his caravan in Dallas just before his assassination. Candy suffered a heart attack while filming Wagons East in Durango, Mexico, on March 4, 1994. This photo was taken on the set of the film. Taken in November of 1993, at what would be Kurt Cobain's last photo shoot. Cobain died of a gunshot wound to the head in Seattle on April 5, 1994. It is debated whether or not it was self-inflicted. Earnhardt died from injuries suffered during a crash at the 2001 Daytona 500 on February 18, 2001, in Daytona Beach, Florida. Taken before her 87th birthday dinner in October 2012. Thatcher died of a stroke on April 8, 2013 in London. Still shot from an interview Faye conducted with Larry King 2 days before her death. Faye died of cancer on July 20, 2007 in Missouri. This photo taken at a photo shoot shortly before her death. Anna Loganova was killed in a carjacking in Moscow on January 27, 2008. Photo taken moments before her death. Bhutto was assassinated in a bombing in Pakistan on December 27, 2007. Moments before takeoff. Rivera died in a plane crash near Nuevo León, Mexico, on December 9, 2012. Taken backstage at the Solnahallen Arena on September 26, 1986. Burton died on September 27, 1986, in a bus accident in Sweden. Photo taken at his last appearance at Yankee Stadium in 1948. Ruth was diagnosed with cancer and died on August 16, 1948 in New York.